All right, everybody, how are we doing today? Cobra Trading here. I just wanted to do a quick Bitcoin analysis. I'm going to try and keep these on the shorter side just so it's easier to watch, just to kind of give you guys a general overview of what's going on so that it's not super crazy technical and things like that. That's what my Discord channel is for, to ask questions and learn charting and different aspects of indicators and stuff like that. We get into more detail in that in my free Discord. The link to that is in the description below. So let's go ahead and get into this. So right now, this is Bitcoin to the US dollar on the 1 hour chart. And as you guys know, in all of my videos, I always strip my chart down bare just to kind of see what's actually going on, and just kind of start with price action. That's a very important thing to know, especially if you're just getting started, is kind of just understanding price action, because yes, the news has an effect on the market, but the reason why it does is because people are the ones that move the market. We move the market. So if negative news comes out and we read it, and in general it makes us bearish or bullish, we buy or sell, and that's what moves the market in waves like this. So what you guys can see is obviously this is my Elliot wave count here. It's all jacked up because of the time frame, but I have to put that on just so I can be drawing lines and things. So if you'll notice, we have this low here, and that's going to be acting as a, let me make that red or green, actually. That's support. Come on, there we go. Okay, so this is basically our main support line here. This has been a support and resistance for quite a long time. Our lower end of the spectrum is going to be down here. So obviously you can tell that because this is where we've been wicking down when we've gone really, really low down into, like the 6100s. We've gone lower than that before, but we haven't seen a low like this down into the 58s for quite some time now, back in the mid-August, and it's about to be October now. So that's where our current support levels lie, and obviously, there's different support levels, further along in here. You've got one, looks like we've got one here. You can follow this across. You've got one here. Looks like we've got one here, which has also acted as resistance a few times. And then most recently, we have one here, which we're actually resting at right now. And this has just been kind of a clusterfuck in here. There's little levels of support and resistance all throughout this madness in here. But what I just want to give you a general idea of is exactly where these are, like the main levels of support and resistance. And so right now, the main resistance that we're facing is actually right about here. That's going to be red for resistance. That's the main resistance that we're facing, right at about 6,700. We haven't really been able to pop above here and hold this level to climb upwards. But as you guys are aware, every time that resistance is or support is tested, it gets weaker. So it's really just a question of which supports and which resistances are going to end up breaking down first. How strong are they? And that's really something that you can really only analyze by checking out the order book on whatever exchange you're using. So those are the support and resistance levels. Another thing that I want to do is I want to point your attention to something that I noticed on the 4 hour chart here. I like to start with a lower time frame and then work my way up to kind of give you a general overview, like a bigger picture. So here's our 4 hour chart. And as you can see, obviously, we're still in this long, sideways craziness triangle here. I'm going to keep all these lines on here for now. And this line down here, this is basically like our last resort support level right here. That comes across down at 5,700. That's like our last line of defense. If that breaks, then we're going really, really deep. So I'm actually thinking about changing my count here. I'm thinking that if this is still an ABC correction, this C is going to be, it's not going to be down here below the trend line. It's probably going to be pretty shallow compared to this A. It's probably going to be right around here. I think it's going to be a pretty shallow C once we come down. I still think that this is in play for now, regardless of these little ups and downs that we've had. This is almost kind of a fractal of what just happened before. We came down from a deep, we had some little sideways stuff, and then we came back up. The same thing is happening now. We once we came down, we had this little sideways stuff, and now we're coming up, and now we're starting to work our way back down again. Bitcoin has definitely been a fractal of itself over and over again for months. I illustrated this in one of my earlier videos where, it's literally the same thing over and over again. We pop up, we come down, we go sideways for like a week or two, and then we pop up, we come down, we go sideways for a week or two. And honestly, for me, I really think that this is just a whole bunch of just more and more sideways action as we're coming to the end of this triangle here. These boundaries are starting to close in on the price action, and eventually something's got to give. And personally, I've never seen a really long sideways correction like this in any market come to an end with a move upwards. There's almost always a third leg down, and we really haven't had that third leg down yet. That's why I'm still sticking with these targets. A lot of people are calling me crazy, but I'm sticking with these targets. I'm sticking with it. I've never seen a any asset, security, what have you, end without having its third leg down. So I definitely think that this is still in play here. It's just a matter of when it's going to break and when it's going to happen. These supports and resistances have been tested time and time again, going all the way back to when did we start doing this? In June. These support levels that we have, they're tired. I do think that these levels are going to start breaking down soon. We haven't been able to form a new support level up here at 6,700. There's just not enough bullish pressure to safely stay above this level anymore. We haven't been able to do that. We tried to do that here, and we had a little run up, and we immediately lost support. We ended up breaking down right from that level. Right at 7,300, we broke down. I'm really bearish still until I see a daily candle close above this 7,400 level. When I get a daily candle close above that, I'm going to say that we're definitely bullish, because by that time, I think by the time that happens, we'll certainly be testing or already out of this long descending top trend line here, which I think is really important. So on this 4-hour chart, one of the things that I wanted you to notice, and I'm going to go ahead and delete all of these little lines for just a minute here. I'm going to leave this one because that's a key level. What I want you guys to notice here is that we just double topped, and this isn't something that I've been seeing a lot of people point out, is, we had our 5 waves down, we had our little ABC correction, and we were going to, we had our little, there is a 5-wave sequence in here. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. It's kind of a messed up 5-wave sequence. And then a huge C wave up here. But unfortunately, what's happened is we've ended up double topping here. So what I mean by that is we've come up, and then we've gone down, and we're shaping this M right now. We double topped right here, and boom. We double topped here at this resistance level, which, if you notice, obviously still goes right across. We've tested it here, broke through it here, used it as support, came up, broke right through it. This is kind of a weak level. It was stronger over, once you start getting back into, July and stuff like that. But this has always been a key, a pretty key level for Bitcoin. And we've been just in this sideways nonsense now in this range for so long. And what's happened is we've tested this level yet again, formed a double top here. And I'm pretty certain that this is now when we're going to start heading back down to get my C here, the end of my C wave, A, B, C. As long as this is a little higher up than my A wave, I think we'll probably come down here and test it right at the support level. As long as that's higher than my A wave, then it's not going to be violated. And I really think that this is what's going to happen. One, because we double topped and we've tested this resistance so many times now, and we have not been able to break through here, with force. And another reason why is taking a look at some other indicators here is we just recently, I don't know how many of you guys use the MFI indicator. It stands for money flow. I like to use it on Bitcoin, especially if I'm trying to get into a longer term or a mid-term short or long position that's leveraged. I like to use this a lot. I'll probably end up doing a tutorial on exactly what this indicator does, what it measures, and stuff like that. I'll get into that later, but basically it's an oscillator similar to the RSI. However, it measures slightly differently. And if you've noticed here, as soon as we hit this top, we were above this top limit line at the 80 mark here. Same thing happened here. We were floating around above the top, bam, we came back down. This was a great place to buy here when it bottomed out. That lines right up, obviously, with the RSI and with my Stotch indicator here. We actually had a beautiful cross here on the Stotch, and this was a fantastic wave up if you were able to catch this in a long position. Most people have been trying to short the market, so that did not happen. But right now, I think that this was a great time in the past day or so to get into a short position. If you were at this top here, you could probably still get away with entering. However, this makes me a little nervous. Maybe we'll get a little mercy bounce here on the way down, but I don't think it's going to be anything significant to get you stopped out of a position. I would not be entering long positions right now at all. I just would not flat out not be doing it. There's too much resistance here. This is time and time again that we haven't broken through this. Until we break through this level and start testing the top of this master downtrend channel here from this massive triangle that we've been in, I would not be entering any long positions. Maybe short term, like for a scalp or something, but definitely not a major sized position or anything like that. So that's where I see us with Bitcoin right now. I hope that this gave you kind of a little overview. Like I said, the Stotch is already crossed right here, pretty much at the top, and we are heading down. We're kind of getting down into an area of lower volume here. If you look over to this left where this volume is, we're getting into this little pocket of like no volume, and pretty much every time we've gotten there, what's happened? Well, bam, we've come right back down, into this like 62, 6300 area, near the lower part, of the top and bottom of this, support section right here. We've been really stuck down here in this lower half for a while, and let's just hope that once we do come down, that these supports hold again. If it doesn't, then we're coming down here to test the bottom of the channel at about 5,900, 6,000 or so. And if that breaks, which I don't think it will, but if we did come down that far and it broke, our last line of defense is over here at 5,700 before we start going way down. So that's where I see Bitcoin right now. Long term on Bitcoin, I'm definitely bullish, but definitely midterm right now, until we can start breaking above these levels and start getting out and testing the top of this downward channel here in this triangle, I'm definitely bearish until I see that happen. If you take all this nonsense off and you go back and you look at a day chart, go like this, we're kind of leveling off here, but it's just a lot of just sideways movement from here on out, from back in June all the way to now. It's just been a lot of sideways movement. Another thing that I want to bring your attention to is this hidden bearish divergence that we've been having that not a lot of people have spotted. I think I saw one person mention this on Twitter, but this is the last point that I want to make before I close down this this little overview of Bitcoin for today. Is we have been having bearish divergence for quite some time now, and what I'm going to do is illustrate this real fast with the highs and the lows that we've had. So obviously we had our all-time high, you know, up here or whatever. We came down, you know, and we started correcting. So once we got to this point back in February, when we had our really, really low down to, you know, we touched 6,000 and then we started coming back up. We did go lower than that over here, but that's another story. This is where the hidden bearish divergence started, and hidden bearish divergence is when you get lower highs in price on the chart. So here and here and here, and basically what we've been doing the whole time, but higher highs on the RSI. So even though the highs are decreasing in value, in terms of the RSI, the highs are getting higher, and that's exactly what's been happening here. So if you take a line, it started here. You take a line, and oh, I already got it drawn up there. Perfect. That illustrates that perfectly. Is you know, is we've had this hidden bearish divergence all throughout this long bear corrective market here, and I think that that's it's starting to get to a dangerous level now. Oh, I know what you're saying. Oh, well, you know, Scott, we haven't seen a higher high in the RSI since you know, since back in July here. Well, that's great, but you notice that in between all of these sections, you know, and that's exactly what it looked like. Oh yeah, look, it's a lower high and a higher high and a lower low and a higher high and a higher high and a lower high, and it oscillates. Obviously, this is a moment. It's an oscillating indicator. So you know, do I think that it's possible for this to happen again? Yes, absolutely. I think that if the price, you know, I think that if we came up here over the next week or two and we started testing the top of this triangle, then we would end up getting another higher high up here on this RSI. That's yet to be determined. Obviously, I do not have a crystal ball. Who knows? Maybe the hidden bearish divergence is over, and from here on out, we just, you know, it starts correcting itself or whatever. We'll you know, have to see what happens. But overall, I just wanted to point that out to you guys. It's definitely not something that I've seen a lot of people talking about when they're doing their analysis, and that's something that I really wanted to point out to you guys is, you know, since all the way back here when this correction started, we have been seeing hidden bearish divergence, you know, on the RSI compared to the price level here that we've been experiencing. So just keep all of that in mind, you know, as you're entering positions and doing your analysis and stuff, is that this may still not be over. That's why I'm still bearish with these targets here. So that's all I got for you today, guys. I hope that you enjoyed the analysis. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and if you want to check out my Discord, where I offer charts, analysis, more analysis like this, and educational resources as well, you can go ahead and join the community that I started over on Discord. The link is in the description below. Have a nice day and happy trading.